Hey everyone, welcome to CrushonCovers, and I will be demonstrating today Rough Sea. Wow, what a topic. But yes, it is a scene that I have not done before. I've not done a sea scenery. And today, if you have not subscribed, go ahead, hit that like button, that subscription button with that beautiful bell. Yes, hit it. And so you'll get some videos when I post them, Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. So I'm using gouache. By now you all know that I am totally in love with gouache. Yes, I truly am. I like how it dries flat. It's matted and you don't have a rising just like when you use regular watercolor paint. It has a slight rise. I didn't know that until I started using gouache. Like I was totally fine with my watercolor palette. Then gouache showed up and I don't ditch my watercolors though. Yep, I still love them. But I would choose gouache over watercolor. The only reason why I don't think gouache is superior to regular watercolor palettes is because it is harder to mix. I have a better blend of mixing my watercolor, and I love the texture of watercolor when it stains, that tea stain kind of look. I do love that. I don't like that with gouache. I don't get that kind of a tea stain because it is more opaque. Even when I do a wash, just like a watercolor wash, no, I still love my watercolor for that kind of an effect. However, gouache, when it dries, I love it better because the colors are vibrant. So, because I'm torn between the two, I keep them both. I have not done a project where I've used both watercolor and gouache together. I'm yet to do that, and when I do, you'll be the first to see. All right, so let's get back to our project while I'm like halfway through. So I'm doing rough seas. What I've done is a slight outline of what I want into my painting. So a bit of mountain, I did a sun, a few trees, you can't really see them. And of course I outlined the sea, how I wanted it to look. I could have worked a little bit more on my sea. Yes, I will tell you that. But however, so far I still like how it turned out. One tip I will leave with you is that gouache is a bit harder to mix. My palette is a dry gouache palette, the cakes, and I only have 12 colors in there, and they're a little bit harder to mix to get the right colors that I would say want if I'm using a watercolor palette. But I will tell you, I like the vibrancy, and I do figure out a way how to get the result that I want, or I'm intending to, or halfway there, somewhere, using the palette. So while I'm experimenting and practicing with it, I'm learning the pros and the cons and how to manipulate it. And every artist should do that too with your medium and your tool. The more you use it, the more you'll figure out how to manipulate, maneuver, and get by and make it work. So that's what I'm learning to do with this palette. Not giving up on it, still like how it dries. So I have added blue, all 3 shades of blue that I have in my palette, just to give it a variation, because it's wave, right? It has a little bit of green, some blue, you can see a little bit of brown depending on the sunlight, some yellow shade depending on where you're looking at the wave from. So I want it to look really rough, like it's just really angry, angry wave. And so I make it rising off the surface and just kicking up a storm, as they would say. So I've added black in between the light blue, the deep blue, and I've added black there just to give it some depth. So it does look really good when you add black to it. I'm pretty much surprised. Normally I would add purple, but adding the black really gave it some depth for me. So in that circle there, that opening between the body of the wave and the curve, I've just added the green to make it still look like it's the ocean. I'm sorry, that was, I don't know, some hair from the brush. That's pretty weird. And so what I've done is just keep adding depth, building it up. I'm using straight from the cake. I don't do a wash here. My first step was a light wash of adding all three blues, and then I just spritz or just damp the brush tip and damp the palette, the color that I want, and use it straight from there, because when you use the wash, in my experience, it doesn't give that good effect that I want. So what I did to get my mountains a little bit ashy there, I added some black and mixed that with white. So the white here is a good mixture to get you some grays, some ashy looking color, because my mountains are in the sky, right? And they're a little bit frosty, and I don't know, they're nice like that. So a little bit of ash, as well as mixing it with white and black, and kind of outlining it with the black straight from the cake. That gives me my variation, as well as it gives me some depth, and I am able to play around with it like that. So I did that while I'm allowing the ocean wave to dry, or partly dry. All right, so what I've done is outlining my sun that I have there. That's actually touching the ocean. I wondered if I should have left it like that, just saying. I like how the arch there, right between the wave curve and the level there looks. I like that green, very nice. And that was just a wash that I had. Sometimes these things are accidental colors, but it worked. So what I've done is allowed the mountain to dry. The black does dry a bit lighter than normal black would. So I let it dry, and then I either add another shade, build it up again, or just add some depth to the corners just to make it stand out a bit more. So here I am attempting to add my white gouache. Now, a lot of people will tell you something about white. It is very finicky. It does not always work as you want it to. All right, so be careful with the white, although gouache is great because it allows you to correct your mistake. But you have to have patience when you're working with the white, because if you just quickly, just pile it on, it will become a hot mess. And you really don't want that. So I've applied a light layer, give it some structure. I'm letting it dry. So that's a good tip to do. Don't be impatient. I am a lot of times. So don't be impatient. Give it some time to dry and work on something else. So while my mountains are drying, I'm working on the sun. And while I'm working on the sun, both the mountain and my ocean is actually getting some time to dry. So I'll think of what it is that you take it in stages, more like planning. So you have to plan while you're painting in order to get the best result. If you're not using a heat gun or a hair dryer, blow dryer to, speed the process up, you just have to plan strategically how you're going to get it done in order to have the best result. I'm trying to add some sun depth, some sun shade to the body of it, because you're thinking about, okay, either the sun is setting. The only thing I forgot to do, I thought I should have done that, but then I added my trees before, was add a little bit more orange to my sun. I tried to darken it a little bit by adding a deeper shade of the yellow, mixed it with a little bit of black just to deepen it a bit, but it still looked bright because it's gouache, right? So the idea was to get it a little bit orangey, but it still works. You can see the yellow in the midst of it, the lighter wash yellow and the deeper yellow to the side. So you have an idea that I'm trying to get a sunset. I don't know if it's a sunrise or a sunset, but you know what, I'll make it a sunset. And here I'm adding the white to my wave. It's not bad, I will say, because I allowed it to dry a bit. So while I'm stroking there and adding my wave, but I don't know what you want to call that, my wave colors with the white to show how angry it is. I'm lost for words with it, but you know what I mean. How it's rolling up and it's rumbling and it's getting angry. And yeah, so I'm adding that to it, so the white is actually outlining it. I started there and then I said, you know what, I think this would do well with a lot more of the wave outline. So I started adding, and for me, I don't normally use a reference. Like if I see a picture one time, that's fine. So I have an idea, I like it, okay, I'll look. But if I don't save it or actually take a picture of it or something to use it as reference, I just have to use memory or what I think I want. So oftentimes I never do. I'm just kind of spontaneous like that. I don't like to always use reference. So here I am just playing around with it. And my major tip that I tell you is I don't paint looking at my artwork right in front of me on the table. I paint and I look in the lens of my camera just to see what effect, because that's what you are seeing, what is in the lens of the camera, right? And there I'll be able to see if this looks good, if I needed to add something else here, or, you know, leave that alone, but still getting the desired result that I wanted to. So I started playing with my wave here, and I'm like, it looked blah, just leaving it without adding a couple of the rolls, you know, the waves rolling up. So I just started adding and looking through the lens, and I'm like, that looks good. That looks pretty angry. The only thing needed was some dark shadow clouds, and then you'd have an angry storm wave. But yeah, we're not doing that. Alrighty, so I do hope you enjoy this video. And enough of me rambling on. I hope you find a tip or two that actually help you in your project. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscription button for more videos. And I do like bringing videos. I think I enjoy nature scene most overall, and I will be working on some of those for you. All right, so thanks for checking me out, and yeah, keep in tune, keep in touch. All right, have a good and godly day.